Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, I want to give you 3 of my pet peeves that I'm seeing happen over and over again at South by Southwest. And hopefully it will help you in your efforts to connect and engage and build that professional network, because I know that's why most of us are there. Great content, great connections, and you don't want these things to actually derail any of those efforts. Number 1, don't touch your nose. Oh my gosh, I see so many people unconsciously touching their nose or their mouth, and it's creepy, it's weird. I was actually in a conversation with somebody yesterday who must have touched it. I stopped counting it 40 times in about a 5-minute span. It was nuts. So I looked into it, right? There's research about this. Actually, it comes down to people that are unconfident or they're unsure of what to say. They feel a little off-put by the conversation in some capacity, right? And even though I was doing my level best to make this person feel super engaged and, that I was fully present, there was still something off. And so that, by extension, made it a weird, awkward situation. But it was so unconscious for this individual. He didn't realize he was doing it. And it's just creepy. It's just odd, right? And what are you expected to do? You're expected to shake hands or fist bump at the end. Who wants to do that after you've been looks like you're doing a line of coke? I don't, right? At the end of the day, just no bueno. Number 1, don't do that. Keep your hands in a prayer or some sort of clasp so that you can avoid the unconscious tics that people have. I do it. I move my hands all the time, and I know that I'm probably guilty of touching my face, but it has never been so prevalent as what I have been seeing the last couple of days. So don't do that, all right? That's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Now, this is a big one. This is a big one, and it is so critical, but how to engage with another person can be and is often challenging. But one of the things that I see over and over again, and I watched a lot of conversations happen, that there is a propensity for individuals to dominate the conversation. They are name dropping and or bragging about what they do and how they do it, and they show absolutely no interest in what the other person does. They may ask them, hey, so where do you work? What are you doing, right? Typical networking fodder conversation, which I hate already. But anyway, I digress. But then they come back to something else that they're talking about, almost just buzz by it. Hey, I got to ask you that because I got to check a box. But really, at the end of the day, I just want to keep telling you how awesome I am and what my company does and how you need what I need. And it's really, really nuts, because at the end of the day, these conversations, which could be otherwise promising, just die on the vine. And it blows me away at how people just don't get it. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, and this is probably one of the biggest ones, is really, really being insincere in your interest in your conversation with the other person. I saw people interact, right, and do that networking thing like I just said in tip 2, but they're really engaged to just a bare minimum because they're looking around for the bigger, better deal. They're looking for the next person. And I believe this happens for 2 reasons. Number 1, they are either completely checked out of that conversation and they're looking to escape. That I see all the time. But a lot of times it's an ego thing. Hey, look, if I'm here visiting with you and I'm trying to make myself sound so great and so important and my company awesome, what am I trying to do? I'm oh, hey, what's up, man? I'll be over there in a second. Or I feel like what people do is they try and make themselves feel more important than they really are. And it's so awkward. It is so bizarre because people do it and they're not focused here. If I was just talking off camera like this, if that was an interview style, maybe you'd be okay with it. But really, when I'm trying to talk to you and make a very important point to you, but I'm looking over there, or I'm looking over here, or I'm trying to find my bigger, better deal somewhere else, it does nothing but piss somebody off, right? It really irritates. I talked to a major brand executive yesterday, and we were pontificating on how so many organizations send these people out to network and have never trained them on how to actually do it, right? When you're connecting with somebody, the only focus you need to have is right there. maintain eye contact. Make sure your body language says, hey, I'm here, I'm engaged, I want to have this conversation with you. And whether it's a 30-second conversation or a 20-minute conversation, you want to stay 100% fully present and engaged. Don't be looking around, shifting your weight. It gives the other person the creeps. And you couple that with tip number 1, where you're touching your nose constantly. You're just like, is this person like looking for somebody, like their supplier, their drug dealer, or are they just looking for the bathroom to go do the next line of Coke? Not a good thing, right? I'm kidding, but only marginally. At the end of the day, you have got to be aware of how you conduct yourself and how you go about. And these 3 tips, these are pet peeves of mine that I think that if you're aware of them and you look, hey, am I doing this? Am I breaking these rules? Am I, following what Steve, the Ripple Man, says? Okay, it's an opportunity for you to get better, to improve, to make the right kinds of connections, to make the right kinds of impressions, and to create the positive ripples you're looking to do, all right? Whether it's at South by Southwest, whether it's at any networking opportunity, organized, conference or whatever, go out there and represent yourself the best that you possibly can. Go out there, make a difference in the world, make a difference in someone's life, and you will make a difference in your own life. And as always, ripple on.